Hey everybody. Earlier this year we talked about what a function is. A function is a mathematical relationship where each input has exactly one output. Here we have two different relationships, A and B, examples A and B. Now notice in this first relationship, we have -2 as an input gives us 1 as an output. 0 gives us 4, -3 gives us -1, 3 gives us 5, and -2 gives us 0. Because -2 gives us 1 and -2 also gives us 0, this is not a function, right? Because if -2 is the input, it has to always give us the same output. It needs to be predictable. That's a big thing with functions. We want them to be predictable. Okay? Example B, -2 gives us -5, -1 gives us 1, 0 gives us 7, and 1 gives us 7. Now, even though 0 and 1 give us the same number, this is a function because each input always gives us the same output. 0 always gives us 7, and 1 always gives us 7. So this is a function. So this background that we learned earlier this year is really important because today we're going to work on graphing functions on the coordinate plane. In our first example, we are going to graph this function right here, y equals 2x minus 1. Now this is another way we can represent functions. We saw on the last slide we can do a table, we can do a mapping diagram, we can also represent a function as a rule or as an equation. Y equals 2x minus 1. In this case, x is the input, y is the output. Because whatever x is going to determine what y is. Now, the domain we're going to use is -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. These are the input values. Remember, domain means the input. So we're going to use these, put them into x, and use that to find our outputs or our range. So that's the first step we're going to do before we graph it. So let's draw a table. We have x and we have y. Now to calculate these y values, we know our x value is going to be -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. We're just going to take those inputs, plug them in, and calculate. So our first one, we have y equals 2 times -2 minus 1. We just take our first input, we put it in for x, and leave everything else the same. Now, 2 times -2 is -4. -4 minus 1 gives us -5. So our first output is -5. We do the same thing. Y equals 2 times -1 minus 1. 2 times -1 is -2. -2 minus 1 is -3. We do the same thing. Y equals 2 times 0 minus 1. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 1 is -1. Now, I see a pattern here. See, each one of these, we're going up by 2. Let's see if that pattern continues. Y equals 2 times 1 minus 1. 2 times 1 is 2, minus 1 is 1. So the pattern is continuing, and I bet the next one is going to be 3. And if we take a look here, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 will indeed give us 3. All right, now we want to graph this on a coordinate plane, and we have all of our points. We have -2, -5, that's one ordered pair, -1, -3, 0, -1, 1, 1, and 2, 3. So now that we have all of our coordinates, we can plot these on a coordinate plane. So to do that, we draw our x and y axes. There we have y. Here's x. Now, I always want to make sure I see what my maximum and minimum values are for each one. So for x, I have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So I know I need to go from -2 to +2. So just put 2 marks there. We got -2, -1, and we have 1 and 2. And we always try to make sure our marks are evenly spaced. Now vertically, I have to go from -5 to +3. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 marks going down, trying to keep them even. -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, and we'll go 3 marks up. Remember to keep the same spacing. 1, 2, 3. Now we can plot our points. So let's switch colors for this. We have -2, -5 is our first point. So remember x, gotta mark my axis, x and y. Remember x is always horizontal, that comes first. X is -2, so we're going to go to -2 to the left. And then we will go down 5, -5, -2, -5 is going to be right here. And then we have -1, -3 will be right there. 0, -1 is right there on the y-axis because x is 0. 1, 1 will put us right there. And 2, 3 will be our last point. And that is this function. Now, we only have 5 points here because we only have 5 values in the domain. This is very important. Because we only have 5 values in the domain, we're only going to have 5 points. We're not going to connect them with a line. We're not going to draw any arrows. Those are the only 5 points. 5 inputs, 5 outputs, 5 points on this function. All right, that's where we're going to wrap it up today. Just one example, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.